And we are back. We are back with another great episode of The Closing Table. I'm your host, James Garman.
This is Daniel White. Hope everybody had a good weekend.
Oh, I had an amazing weekend, man. No complaints at all on my behalf. What about yourself?
A great weekend, man. Tons of stuff to talk about. What is it? The eve of voting tomorrow, right?
Yes. The eve of voting, and I've been seeing a lot of people who did a lot of the early voting. And for me, I don't know, man. Just the voting structure has really gotten a lot difficult. A lot more difficult over the past few years. Actually, it's been more difficult since the whole Bush administration when they found votes down by your way, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, you called out Florida again, huh?
I don't know what you all was doing down there in Florida around that time, but it seems to me that some shady stuff was going on during those time frames, and we just recently had that same scenario happen with the Biden and Trump, quote unquote. I mean, it's not factual, but it is what it is.
I'll tell you, it was funny. We were coming home around the election time there, and driving by one of the neighborhoods. They had a big garbage bag or big bag, and on there it said Trump's votes, and it stayed there for about 2 weeks. It's like, oh god.
Oh my goodness! I mean, look, and again, when it comes to the voting, man. I mean, I know those lines be hectic. I try to get up there pretty early. I don't like doing early votes. I just like going on the actual day. So me and the lady will go up there, get it taken care of, and see what happens. Overall,
people watching.
Yeah, people watching, definitely.
Yeah.
I love to watch people too, man. I've always been a people watcher. Like I think that's part of my DNA makeup is I like to watch people and see how they react. And just for me, I don't know. It's just something exciting about seeing how people are, figuring people out and studying their ways and their actions. So I've always been that type of person. But overall, are you excited to get your vote in?
Yeah, I am, man. I'm ready to go out there tomorrow. People watch a little bit, but most importantly, I'm excited about the commercials being off of the screen of TV, man. I turned on the TV this morning just to see it, and I swear for like 20 minutes it was just advertisement after advertisement. I'm like, well, if you haven't made up your mind by now, I don't know if you'll even make it out there tomorrow.
Yes,
So,
that's so true. That's so true. Why are we talking about that? Do you remember that movie, or did you ever watch that movie? It was what's that guy name? Played in Step Brothers. Oh my goodness.
oh,
Weatherman, the Weatherman, the Anchorman. What's it called?
yeah, the anchor man.
Uh,
Yes.
what's his name?
Oh man,
I just went blank.
I should call a friend right now because my son would know.
Okay, I got him. All right. Yeah, this movie was. It wasn't Ben Stiller. No, I'm tripping. That's not him. All right, but the movie was so funny because it seems like the campaign commercials have gotten so crazy. Like they go to the extreme now, where when it comes to trying to discredit the opponent, like literally, I remember in this movie, it wasn't no, it wasn't him. It wasn't Ben Stiller. I forgot who it was, but in the movie, he literally said, "I'm gonna go and have intercourse with this man wife and I'm gonna put it on TV." That's how extreme it went to try to discredit the other opponent. But it's so crazy that we're gotten to this level of craziness when it comes to our political campaigns. Man, these things are amazing.
It's insane. I mean, you don't know what to believe. You don't know what's true. You don't know what's real. It's unbelievable. It's
Yeah,
unbelievable.
it's super wild, man. But I mean, overall, it's something that it's entertaining sometimes. Like they go to the extent that it becomes a little bit entertaining, no matter who they're talking about. Like I seen this one about Herschel Walker talking about how he hates babies, or he did something. He put a gun to his ex-wife's head and threatened to kill her and wanted to have a shootout with the police. It was like, what? Like, like, why are we going through this?
And all it is, it's bits and it's clips from different things put together. It's just it's so garbage, man. It is so garbage. That's why I said earlier on one of our first podcasts or so when we talked a little bit about this. I mean, I just watch the live debates. I don't look at the commercials.
Mm-hmm.
I don't read the papers and what. There's always somebody behind it that's pushing it and paying for it. I'd rather watch the debates, register everything that they say, what's going to help my business, my family, and you kind of move forward
And
on
keep
that.
it moving. Oh, and it was Will Ferrell. Will Ferrell in the movie The Campaign. Super funny movie, man. Like they hit that nail on the head when it comes to.
Thank you, Ariel. Thank you.
Oh, hey Ariel, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, it was definitely Will Ferrell in that movie, The Campaign, man. I really must say that they hit the nail on the head with that one, bro. Like when it comes to how crazy these campaigns was going to get.
Some of his movies, they like to push boundaries, just
Oh,
get right to the edge.
but I don't even know. Like, I think it pushed the boundary so far that it became reality because they was ahead of the time. Like, it's crazy how movies can sometimes dictate our future. But yeah, overall, yeah. When it comes to the voting, I'm ready to get it over with. To be honest, just
100%.
let's get this crap over with and move on. But today we was talking about when it comes to times, management, scheduling, being prepared, and how to really keep your business structured, throughout your growth process. Because that's something that people don't realize is that you have to have a structure when it comes to building your business. And I think a lot of us sometimes get caught up in politics way too much, and we lose sight of what we should actually be focused on day to day. And I see a lot of people who keep negative things in the forefront of their day. I don't like waking up listening to the news. I don't like waking up listening to, things that are going to put a negative cloud over my day because I lose focus. Then I'm just, kind of looking forward to more chaos. Chaos is a drug, man.
It, Negative news, I mean, it carries over. It does. It does not put you in the right state of mind whatsoever, right?
Totally agree. So when it comes down to it, man, like with your weekend, I know you had a few things you had planned to do. Like, how did that go? Like, yeah, you went to some business conference, right?
Yeah, man. The weekend was jam packed. Son had homecoming. That was always nice to get him dressed up, But yeah, Sunday the wife and I we went to a business convention down at the Tampa Convention Center, and it was probably about 50 or 60 businesses in there.
Okay.
And you could be, a passive investor. You could be a full-time, a brand new career, start everything over. There were a couple of interesting little businesses in there. Of course, they have like, the finance companies in there. Let me help finance grow your business. Let me, help you structure it and, market it out to other buyers and all of that stuff. But, the wife and I, we walked around for about 2 hours. I think we did the right thing. We originally just kind of walked through, took a look at all the little businesses, and then went back around and kind of listened to their speeches. Because you and I talked before I went,
Exactly.
James. I love listening to salesmen and women, right? It's cool when they're starting there, sitting there, talking their speech, and they're throwing out all the good stuff about their business and how it works. It's nice to listen to them and try to pick something up. But overall, it was fantastic. Afterwards, we had some deep conversations about one or two of them. And, we just said, hey, let's do a little bit more homework and kind of see what transpires, So
Yeah, and I love going to conferences, man. Like, you can definitely pick up a lot when you go to these different get-togethers with like-minded people. So the reason why I was asking is because, like, was that something last minute that was planned, or that was something that was already on the books? How was that?
yeah, no. So I saw an advertisement probably, I don't know, about 7-10 days ago. And, I was like, kind of do something outside the box every once in a while.
Exactly.
I've never been to one. So I was like, let's kind of go take a look. And the wife was all game. So, going back to the scheduling and everything, it was on the calendar. I know that sounds crazy. Some people may say, oh my God, you're scheduling your weekends and all of that stuff. I don't. Saturday is wide open. I leave Saturday open just to do whatever. But yes, I had that on the calendar to do. Every Sunday, I jump in my calendar and I plan my week ahead. It's just part of my process to stay on track. you know, um, Working with a bunch of partners on the real estate field, having 5 or 6 insurance agents, a family to maintain, 2 kids, 2 dogs. It's important to schedule business and, personal time and then family time. And at some point, we have to shut it down, right?
Okay.
And for me, that's probably the toughest thing, right? And I think we've spoke about this before as well. 7:30, 8 o'clock, my wife's like, "Why are you answering your phone? You're not saving lives," you know. So I do think a calendar, whether it's your Google Calendar, it's a calendar on your phone. I think it's important that you go in there, and even if you can't fill every hour, every 2 hours, at least you schedule something for business for yourself and stay on track so that you can be productive, right?
I totally agree. I totally agree with that because a lot of times people don't understand that the businesses you run is a 24-hour thing. Like some people don't sleep. And let's look at it this way. We are what 3.5, 4 hours in front of California. So if somebody is in California that needs your assistance because they're moving to Florida and you're working with them, you have to answer your phone. Like if it's 8 o'clock your time, you have to answer the phone because it's 5 o'clock their time. They're still, making moves. And we've had a lot of people that's traveled from California to Georgia lately, and we've worked with those clients. And I've seen Bernadette stay up to 9:30 trying to get things done, looking at properties, scheduling properties for the next day to go out and see. So I understand, there has to be some flexibility sometimes
Yeah.
within your schedule because not everything going to flow like you have planned. So you got to leave that little time slot or those time slots to leave them open or flexible so you can make late changes or adjust accordingly.
And I think it's important when you do your calendar, right? So Monday meetings, I have everybody bring their laptop into the office and I ask them to pull up their calendar. Now they may do it 5 minutes before the meeting time, but I ask them to bring their calendars because again, I'm not all about just my business. I want them to have a life as well. So besides their breaks throughout the day and everything, I ask them, I'm like, do you have a time where you just walk away from everything? Personal, business, it's just your time, me time, right?
Right.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, walk around the building, go get a drink of water, like just get away and break away. Because I do think when you can do that, I think when you step back in that role, whether it's business or if it's a family thing going on, I think at that point, your mind is in the right place, you're refocused, and now you can grind away for the rest of the day. So I usually have 2 or 3 of those a day, where 5 minutes, I turn my phone off. I send my family a message like, guys, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, don't text, just leave me alone.
Yeah.
Turn the phone off and kind of do my thing.
The thing I love about the iPhones, and I'm pretty sure they're on Galaxy as well, is that the iPhone allows you to set up these moments called focus time, personal time, sleep, things, so you're not bothered by certain things like text messages, phone calls, Facebook app notifications, just
Yes.
things like that, because that take up so much of our time. And Bernadette, she can attest to this. She's been one of those people that I've had to call out plenty of time. It's like, I'm sorry, excuse me. You get so caught up in those notifications thinking that something is important is coming through your phone when it's just a Facebook notification and it's
Correct.
just a, Instagram notification. And next thing you know, you pick up your phone, check notification, and now you scroll through your, 30, 40 posts and you've wasted 25 minutes
Well,
to an hour.
and I was really bad at night, right? At night, the phone will go off. And what happens? You roll over, you see the light, it lights up. I mean, you're distracted. You're not getting that complete 6, 7 hours of sleep that you need to be productive the next day.
So when it comes down to it, like what do you think is the best scenario for a person that's now coming into a new structure of business? Like, do you think they should create a schedule around a lot of different tasks or just the main task?
Yep, yep. So every Sunday, right? You take an hour or so, or Saturday, whatever it is. You have to take some type of time. It's your business. It's your business. It's your life, right? You should be prioritizing what's most important to you. And so, one of the things that I do is I take two huge tasks, and those are my two tasks that I want to tackle throughout the week, right? Like that is my main focus. So, for example, I've got a listing that my goal this week is to blast it all over the place, and by Sunday have a contract or in talks negotiations with a solid contract. On my insurance side, I am working on a marketing strategy for those agents. So those are my two big tasks that I want to tackle this week. So those are bright gold. They're huge. They're on every single day to give me a reminder and where I'm at.
Exactly.
And then I take everything else. So I take all my meetings that I'm aware of. I put them in the calendar. I check them against everything else to make sure that I'm not overlapping anything, or if I need to send an email and say, hey, can we adjust this by 15, 20 minutes, right? We have a meeting at 8:30 later today, right? So
Exactly.
it's jam-packed. So I feel at the end of the week, my two top priorities, if I get those down and nothing else is accomplished, I feel productive. Like I've accomplished something, right? Because things pop up. You'll get a phone call here. You got to go and do this, and you got to put this. So I think everybody, whether you have a business of your own or you work for an employer or whatever it may be, I think we could all sit down and say, you know what? I need to get this done and I need to get this done before the end of the week, whether you've been putting it off or it just got put on your table yesterday. So I think you should have some top priorities, and then you filter in everything else. Okay, I need to make sure that I contact the school. I need to make sure that I schedule the dentist appointment for the kids or whatever it may be. Here's some time for the wife and you to go for a walk, right? That's
Exactly.
important. It's important,
Little,
right?
little small things, and again, for me overall, I think the procrastination has always been like visible in my days because I get caught up sometimes thinking that I don't need to follow my schedule. I can do what I feel because you work for yourself. That's something that a lot of people get misconstrued, is that you just because you work for yourself doesn't mean you get to do what you want and just kind of be have leisure time at any given time. The thing about a successful business that I had to learn and I had to understand from my own journey is that the moment you realize that your schedule is your basis point for productivity, just like any other business. If this warehouse has 150 boxes that need to go out by Thursday at 9 p.m., you can't wait to Thursday at 8 p.m. to start working on getting those 130 boxes packed onto a truck and then shipped out. You should be focused on that a day and a half, 2 days in advance. So a lot of people don't respect the schedule because no one ever taught them how to actually use one or put one together. They put these little minuscule little elements on their schedule. I like this thing and I'm pretty sure you heard it. Busy work. Busy work is something that a lot of us use. We like to say we're busy when we're really not. We like to say I'm doing this little thing, and I'm doing that little thing, when it's really you're not that busy.
Yeah.
If you really look at everything that you're doing and how you're doing it, you're really not as busy as you think you are. And
Well,
and
you
simple.
want, you want to be busy or you want to be productive?
Right. That's the thing. It's a difference between being productive and just being busy.
Yeah.
So for me, I used to do a lot of busy work. I used to do a lot of busy work, just doing stuff to say I'm being you know, active. But
or you thought you were
I
productive.
thought I was being productive, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, once you really fine tune your schedule and you look at the things that you have going on, a lot of that stuff is unnecessary movement, unnecessary doing, and lack of focus is the biggest thing for me because a person who can't focus can't stay, you know, zoned in on what they need to accomplish. So setting these little time frames up to get things done would help you be more productive day to day.
James, you said exactly what was happening to me when I started my calendar and started doing that. Basically, I became busy throughout the day just following it, and I wasn't breaking away and having like a mental moment to regroup and refocus on the task. You know, again, I don't sit there with my calendar right in front of me and I just follow it step by step, right? You have breaks in between and stuff, but I think when you set your calendar and you start moving through it, if you don't get that personal time for yourself and break away, you know, as a business owner, your employees are entitled to a break,
A
you
break.
know, a lunch. Like as a business owner, I think sometimes we forget that. Whether we're leading a team, we're a manager, whatever it is, you're on salary. I think you're like, okay, I'm just gonna go 9 to 5. It's grind, it's grind, it's grind. If you don't take that time and get away for yourself, you're busy. You're not productive.
And let's
You're not.
and let's talk about the people who have multiple businesses or multiple little side hustles or gigs that they have throughout their week. You know, let's look at somebody like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a man of many talents. Not only does he have SpaceX and Tesla, and I think he's still on the board of PayPal, if I'm not mistaken. He and Open AI. He has all of these different structures of business that he has to have hands on. Like I was doing some research on Elon not too long ago, and it says that he has 80-hour work weeks, but he's still a fan of 6 hours, 6.5 hours of sleep, you know, at night. So you have to ask yourself, a man who has that much going on and have that little time, the same 24 hours that we have, how is he doing more? What causes him to be able to be more productive? I understand, yes, he's a multi-billionaire and he has a whole team of people that, you know, that works for him, but he had to scale that from somewhere. You know, he that has to start somewhere. And I think what people fail to realize is that it started from self. It started from self-development. And you have to
Yeah.
pass that self-development down to your team and the people that you want working under you so they can have the same standards that you have. You know, so building a team is part of scaling because I see a lot of people who claim to be quote unquote bosses or be owners of a business, but technically you're an employee to your business. Like you become the thing you don't want to do is become an employee to your business. You want to be able to block off, and it's called time blocking. I've gotten into time blocking a lot. You want to be able to block off your time in a way that can leave you have that leaves you with enough time to do other things and be as productive in those other things as well. I do struggle with personal time. Personal time is something I do struggle with, and I'm working on getting that, you know, more oiled up and greased so it can, you know, run smoother. But that's definitely been one of my biggest downfalls in my scheduling is personal time.
I want to just reach out to the chat here really quick. So Ms. Walker stated that she uses a scheduling book from Walmart. So my daughter does the same thing. Use whatever works for you, honestly, because it's important. So the Elon Musk thing, right? Like I always think when we talk about these things here that these celebrities and successful business men and women, you know, they have like the nutritionist, they have all of that stuff, and that's fantastic. But you and me, right? You and me, if you set that schedule, if you wake up and you're like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna drink a large glass of water. That's the first thing I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set the coffee. I'm gonna set my vitamins out. You could set that schedule and be that productive.
Agreed.
You know, and I do think that it starts in the morning. Like I'm a huge believer. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, okay, You got to have breakfast. You got to have breakfast. You got to eat breakfast. I don't want you leaving the house without having breakfast.
Mm.
So my kids sometimes like, Dad, I'm not hungry. I'm not hungry. But I'm like, look, if you don't eat anything else throughout the day, at least I know for the next 4 hours, you're focused at
Right.
school and you're not worried about, man,
If
I wish I could go to McDonald's right now for
right.
lunch or something like that, you know?
And
So,
that's totally understood because and I try to not do breakfast every morning, but Bernadette does a great job at cooking breakfast. It smells so good. So, I fall into that. Yeah, I'm gonna have some, potatoes and eggs this morning. So, but it does help though, because I don't have to worry about eat at least a protein shake, but I don't have to worry about, being hungry at some random time throughout my
correct.
day. And then I'm like, well, I'm gonna start working. Then I'm gonna think about it for an hour, like, okay, where I'm eating it today, like where I'm grabbing lunch today, and then that me grabbing lunch may take me 30, 45 minutes to go down the road, and that's another hour and a half going out of my day that wasn't scheduled.
And
So
the worst is going out throughout the day, and then it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and you're like, man, I haven't eaten anything all day. Like that's not good at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Not good.
I mean, and overall, you gotta make sure everything is put on your books that makes sense, especially that's going to take up a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I even think like food prepping. Food prepping is a great way to be able to knock out that extra time that it would have took. Say, hey, what we having tomorrow for dinner? Well, it's already prepped. It's in the refrigerator. All you gotta do is store it in the microwave. Or hey, I want to cook this tonight, but I don't have the ingredients, but I'm focused on cooking this, so now I gotta run to the grocery store, and go sit in, especially if you're going in the midday when everybody's off work. Oh, now those grocery stores are packed and full. You should even schedule what days you're going to the grocery store if you're not using one of those services like Instacart that
Yeah.
brings your food to you and things like that. But
Well, for a younger generation right now, rent prices are crazy.
yeah,
Mortgage rates are up, and everybody is kind of like, oh my God, what do I do with my money? Where I put it? So, I've had a conversation. I hate to keep bringing my daughter up, but
no,
we were sitting there, we were talking in the office, and you know, I'm watching her, and every day it's Uber Eats, it's this, and I'm like, you can't continue to do this, right? Like, it's important. Like her and her boyfriend, they will prep food, like you just said. They're really big into bodybuilding and working out and all that stuff, and they'll do it for a week, and it's fantastic, and then they get off of it. And I'm thinking in my head, like, why not continue that pattern? And if you can do that for say 2 weeks, then on that Thursday you're like, you know what?
21 days.
Yeah,
21 days they
there
say
you
it
go.
takes to create a new, habit or a new routine. So, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people fall out of their routines based on the fact that it's hard. Like, again, I think we mentioned this last week, the keto diet. I think right now my daughter and Bernadette may be pushing maybe almost a month, and it's this thing that is keep this recurring conversation that has come up multiple times. Well, we could take a.
Ariel lost 40 pounds. You see that?
Oh, really?
Yeah, man. I saw him 2 weeks ago. He looks fantastic.
On keto? Okay,
Um,
what you doing, Ariel? I would love to know. But yeah, so they're pushing a month, and this recurring conversation keeps coming up of, well, Thanksgiving is coming up. Maybe we can take a, maybe we can,
Word.
right? Maybe we could take a break, maybe. But I think what's going to happen is that they've been doing it for so long now. It's been a month that even when that time come around, they're going to be mentally like, I don't really want to eat it. I really don't want it. I mean, because now you've created a new habit, a new structure in your DNA. It's going to be like, if I do, it's going to take that much longer to get back on schedule. And then
uh,
getting that,
I mean, I go to the gym, 4 days a week minimum, right? But when I was hitting it really hard, 5, 6, 7 days a week, anytime I hit a PR, I was like, man, I want a salted caramel blizzard from Dairy Queen, or I want to hit up the Dunkin' Donuts for my
yeah.
6 strawberry sprinkled donuts, all that stuff. Yeah, so I can see that where you have on keto for this period of time, and then Thanksgiving, and you're looking at it like, oh my gosh, I don't want to break this. I've got a good thing going here. I don't want to ruin it.
Exactly. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's like anything that you're scheduling. if you're a person that wakes up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., and I'm talking about Isaac, who's in the chat as well, who wakes up at 3 a.m. One maybe 2 nights of not doing your routine, like going out, hanging out with friends past your normal bedtime, 10:30, 11, having some drinks, getting a little intoxicated, and then you're expecting to get up at 3 o'clock. You may get up that next day, but the next day may hurt. That next day may hurt. It was like, I need just an extra hour, 2 hours of
Yeah.
rest, and next thing you know, the next week or two is thrown off. You're not getting up as you were prior. So having a routine, I see this in most successful people. They don't break their routine for anyone or anything because it's not worth it. The temporary satisfaction or that you're going to gain from whatever it is, your friends inviting you out, trying to have that personal relationship
Yep.
that can hurt your self development, especially if you're not a person who has gained enough space between who you were and who you're trying to be over that time frame. It can definitely push you back months.
Oh, yeah.
So that's my only thing. If you're not where you want to be business wise, having that structured time makes sense. It makes sense for you to follow that structure until you're able to get where you want. And if something comes up like a late dinner or a late gathering and you want to attend for an hour or two, sure, that can benefit you. That could be something like, oh, I was able to get out for a minute, break the slate. But overall, you want to make sure that you're not doing that too often, especially when you're just starting out.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I think when you set up your calendar or you set up your plan, personal business and all that stuff, I think it's probably a good thing to have somebody else look at it. And if you want to challenge it, right, have somebody look at it, but then have somebody that, I don't know, maybe your neighbor that you're not really good friends with or whatever. I know it sounds crazy, but you'll get a different perspective. I mean,
Exactly.
no, your neighbor's not going to tell you no unless you guys are fighting over the fence line or something,
Something
like
like
that.
that. Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, if you just said, "Hey, James, what I'm working on my calendar. I'd like to have an outside opinion. I'm looking for some accountability here." If you look at this calendar, do you see some openings? Do you see something that, if you were doing your calendar, would you take off or would you add? I think it's important, right?
Yeah, definitely. That's part of having somebody that will be honest about being accountable for what you're trying to do. So having that accountability partner, again, is what we're talking about today in our meeting. You need that. A lot of people don't have that, and sometimes they're forced to make themselves their biggest accountability partner, which is also a great thing to do. So you're not always looking for that reinforcement from other people to make things happen. But overall, I do agree with you. My daughter recently, just yesterday, she was like, "Dad, please, Dad, help me set up a new schedule." I'm like, I don't mind helping you set up your schedule. I mean, I want to even help make you accountable of the things you want to do, but I'm not going to do that if you're not 100% ready to. And when you're 100% ready to, and you not 95, not 97, but when you're 100% ready to commit to that 5:30, 6 o'clock wake up call, that 8:30, 9 o'clock bedtime, that's when we can focus on it. I mean, I know you're 16, and that may be a little hard for you,
Yeah.
but overall, that's something that you want. You'll work towards it.
Yep. Yeah. 16's tough, but at least the conversation's coming up, right?
Yes.
That's important. It's
Yeah,
important.
and I'm glad that she has that focus now. That she wants that focus, and she wants to be that productive not only in school but her work life and her personal life, because she wants to fit time to go to the gym and get that workout in. And I want to wake up at 4:30, like I'm getting up 4:35, and be like, "Hey, let's go to the gym before school." But mentally, she's not there, because I see some young guys when I'm on my way to the gym, maybe at 5:30 at the latest. They have to be every bit in the 9th, 10th grade. They must run track or play football, but they're out there on the streets, man. They make me feel like, whoa, what are you doing with your life, bro? But they're out here at 5:30 a.m. 3 or 4 days a week, running at least 2.5 miles before school.
Oh, I'll tell you right now, my son's gonna die today. we did we did legs on Saturday, and he has wrestling today, and he's walking out. He's like, "Dad," I cannot believe we did that. So he's gonna be in pain. But I'm like, you know what? You're 16 years old. You can fight through it. Think about me. I'm an old guy. It's a
Yeah.
lot harder for me to recover.
We need two
So,
days recovery, especially when we go hard.
all right, James. So I know we talked about scheduling and all this good stuff. So I
Yeah.
wanted to bring something up from
Okay.
this weekend,
Yeah. Awesome.
or maybe earlier last week or so. What's your take on these celebrities and their stance in using their social media or using the microphone? Good, bad. What are your thoughts on this stuff? Because nowadays, when you turn the TV on, that's all that everybody's talking about. Oh, he's horrible. She's horrible. He's good. She's good. I mean, it's a tough pill to swallow.
Honestly, Danny, man, it's honestly ridiculous from my perspective. And if you don't mind, I want to talk about this from a certain perspective right now, right real quick. And it's going to be from the perspective of what I'm seeing, quote unquote, in the separation of our community still, which is the black community. The black community have over the past month or so had a lot of different celebrities being crucified for their opinions. Let's talk about Kyrie Irving and Kanye West, for example. Kanye West recently came out, and I think we talked about this on our very first podcast, if I'm not mistaken. Kanye West came out. He said some discriminative things towards people who found it offensive. Kyrie Irving didn't really say anything, but he posted something that got him a lot of backlash. But we also have responses from people like LeBron James and other celebrity people who are in the industry who feel like they need to offer their opinion on certain things when I feel like personally they don't have the wherewithal or the knowledge to actually be speaking on these things on a basis that can crucify someone else. So for me personally, I'm looking at it like, why are we holding a lot of black celebrities at political power, political standpoints, and we using them to be our front runners for our political views? I like LeBron James. I don't like what LeBron James said about Kyrie Irving. I don't think he understands where the man was coming from. I don't think he had the knowledge or the basis to even, maybe you should ask the person how they feel about what they said or what caused them to say the things that they said or do. Because I think that's one thing we do with the public lynching is pretty much put people on the cross without understanding their basis, or their motives behind the things they do. So overall, I'm disappointed that we're using social media to ruin people's lives. Not saying that maybe he was just ignorant to the facts of what he has said or what does it mean. So we also spoke about this, Danny. I think we also have to look at this in a perspective that a lot of our celebrities are just celebrities. I don't want them to be the spokesperson for the black community or anything like that. Or I'm pretty sure you wouldn't want Willie Nelson, or somebody like that to always be the spokesperson for what should go on and what shouldn't go on.
Unless he brings his secret stash.
Yeah, I mean, then that's a different story, So, but at the end of the day, we don't always agree just because you're a celebrity. There's a lot of different people in this world that don't see things how you see things, which is fine. But I don't like the fact that we're putting these celebrities on a pedestal for and using their biased opinions as the forefront of everybody in a certain community's, perspective. So I understand it. I get it. But we have to allow people to explain themselves in the way they feel like that's necessary before we start to give our open opinions in society.
You said something yesterday to me, and I did a little bit of research when we had our a quick little meeting, cup of coffee, about some of these rappers lately that have been young lives lost.
Yeah, young lives. Right? Yes.
Doesn't matter what color, whatever. But then you had said that a lot of times these producers will take out these life insurance policies on these men and women, right?
Exactly.
And it's like, a top employee, a business owner can take out an insurance policy on their number one producer or whatever it is. And if they leave, they could file a claim. that's kind of eye opening. I never, as an insurance guy as well, I never thought about that.
Hmm.
I was like, you don't, you just don't think about that on the other side. It is like, oh, another life is lost. Oh, okay, I just made $10 million because I invested in that person. That's scary. That is scary. That's like, are you trying to help out a young person that has a great
Talent.
future in front
Yeah,
of him or
yeah.
her?
Hmm.
Like, are you putting the people around them to protect them? Like, if I don't know, we have rappers and musicians, let's just say that are 15, 16. They have beautiful voices. They attract a ton of audience. And I would hate to think that we're saying, let's just let them do their thing. That's scary.
It's honestly, man, it's wild that we live in a society like that. But if we're treating celebrities and people like they're just cattle, and hey, if my cattle get sick, I can call whoever and get paid off of this lost product, then that's pretty much the structure in which I understand. All right, there's business. There's business. People understand business. I get it. I mean, if my business partner, that I'm making millions of dollars with, lives a reckless lifestyle, I would want to ensure that. I would want to ensure the fact that if this person passed from their reckless lifestyle, that the company wouldn't suffer. I mean, it makes sense. But
Yep.
but when you go out and you look for these particular individuals who are reckless and give them a lump sum of money to get garner the fame and the notoriety that they do come across, and at some point you know that they're going to run into something that could be life threatening, and you do nothing to try to prevent that or try to rehabilitate that lifestyle. You're just waiting for another payoff. And again, I understand. Let's go back to Kyrie for instance. Kyrie makes millions of dollars, millions of dollars. He's donated to different charities and contributed to a lot of different organizations. He even helped pay for the WNBA when they was going through their little thing. He even donated like $5 million to the underpaid WNBA players. He's donated to so many different schools, gave people scholarships, but we don't look at that when something like this comes about.
Yeah, we forget that.
We forget that. We forget that.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
and I've heard it so many
And we
times.
feed off negative
We
stuff.
feed off the negativity of life. Like, we could say something up here that comes off incorrect, right? We're not celebrities, right? We're not big yet, but we could say something at some point during this podcast. Out of all the positive stuff we said and done, someone would take this little tidbit of information, and chop it out of a whole context and create whatever dialogue that they want to create from that, and we're held responsible for saying something that may have came off a little shoddy, but in reality, in full context, that's not what was stated.
Well, James, if they do that, just know I got your back.
Well, you're going down with me, man. What are you saying? We're in this thing together, bro. So, but overall, I mean, we and Ariel, he just stated, starting with, they have no sense of reality. And again, I don't make as much money as these people. I'm not in the same room as these people, so I don't know what they've been through, what they've heard, what they've seen. But one thing I can state is that it comes down to this: you don't live the same life as a person who's living you might have been there, but a person who's living in poverty, a person who's living check to check. The things you say and the perspectives you have don't always relate to the lower classes of people who are not financially where you are. So sometimes it's really hard to relate to a celebrity speaking on things that has nothing to do with their current situation. If you want to talk to me about how you trying to save money on taxes, or how you don't like the tax laws, or you're living in California, you feel like those tax laws are breaking your pocket, well, my advice for you is to move the hell out of California. But in your sense, it may be, well, how about we get somebody in here that can change things up, when it comes to these. But don't talk to me about things that you are not living or you haven't lived in 20 years, because things change and you may be out of touch with that reality.
what do you think about, like, years ago, the NFL? And I'm not trying to, well, I'm trying to compare the two just a tad bit.
Yeah.
So years ago in the NFL, they did away with these massive contracts on all these rookies, right? I don't know
Right.
if they
Right.
do a 3 year or 4 year
Yeah. I think it's
contract
two
now,
now, 2 or 3. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
but there's a cap on it,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what I'm saying? Like, if I'm wrong, let me know, James. But in what you're talking about, like, we have this musician, he or she is ready to explode. We don't have a cap on what
Make.
they can make, right? So you hand somebody a $5 million deal to sign with them, and they've not seen $50,000 in their bank account or $5,000 in their bank account. You're asking for trouble.
Asking
You
for
are
trouble.
asking for trouble.
Because
And it's different. And it's different coming from your upper class and then your lower class. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you come from, a single mom, two brothers, three sisters, and everybody is grinding every single day just to put food on the table, to where you have a spread on the table, there's a difference. There's a difference there.
so one thing I think people in this situation fail to realize. When I got my biggest first, we all do it. When the first check I got that was huge, I blew it. I blew it. I didn't know what the hell to do with it. It's money burning in my pocket. I now say there's this 3 to 7 day time span that you need before you spend $1. Because the thing about it is, when you're coming into the money, right? You have all of these things going on in your head about where you're going to spend this money, what you want to spend this money on. So you have a list full of things that you're going to go out and buy, like instantly going to go out and spend this money on. So when you give celebrities this type of money and they have no sense of stability or financial responsibility, they're going to go out and just spend this money in places they shouldn't be. They're going to go back to their routine, back to the routine. They're going to go back to the places that don't mean them any good with this money. So that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of people don't understand financial responsibility, financial structure, and they put themselves in harm's way. There's no reason you should be back where you were. You should be looking for ways to go forward, but no one is teaching you this. No one is teaching you to get out of these poverty-stricken areas that people would rob you. There are people that would rob you in these areas. There's not safe zones because you're going back around the friends and the family members, and I've seen it with my own eyes. People lose their lives because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know where to put it. They don't know how to invest it.
James, I will touch base on that. Same thing. You get your first check, you get your first couple of checks, and you're like, oh man, I'm going to go do this. I'm going to do this. When you know a check is coming, and I do this now. You said the 3, 5, 7. I thought you were going to take what I do and run with it. Oh, that's awesome. Great minds think alike. So previously, right, you get this check, and 5 or 6 days before that, you're like, man, okay, I can pay this bill. I can pay this bill. I can go and do this. I can go do that. So now what I do, for me personally, when I get any check, whether it's a payroll check, whether it's a commission check, whatever it is, it goes in my account. I don't touch it for 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So because when I know that check's coming, I'm thinking about of all the cool things and places that I can go. Then once it sits in my account and it's there for 5 days, I like to see it in that account, and I like to look at it and be like, man, it's nice to have, X
XYZ, yeah.
So then if I wait 5 days to spend it, I don't spend it all.
Exactly.
I don't know. It could just be me, but if you look at it that way, 5 to 6 days beforehand, you're ready to spend it all. Once it's sitting in your account and you got it in there, it's a different story.
Yeah. So honestly, when it comes to building your business, building your structure, I do agree with that. When you get that first $5,000, $10,000 commission check, man, just let it sit there. Just let it go. Just put it in because you've already spent it. Mentally, you've already spent it. And if you can fight off that temptation of actually spending it, man, more and more checks are going to come because now you're not living check to check.
Yep.
Now you have some leeway and some headspace to actually build your financial structure. And I want to promote that for more people, and I want to make sure that on this podcast, we're giving more and more people that outlet to see things differently when it comes to their money. And hopefully overall, we can get there, man.
Yeah. No. Hey, consistency, my friend. Consistency.
Exactly.
We just keep grinding away.
Oh, real quick, I know we got to get up out of here, man. But what's going on with Nancy Pelosi's husband? I mean, what's going on with that?
I, I, I don't know, man. I think people are losing their minds. That's what I think, to be honest with you. It's a mess. First of all, I don't understand why there's not someone there at the house protecting him, like any one of our government officials, husbands, wives, spouses. I mean, that can happen to any of us, right?
I don't typically let my boyfriends in the house. Like, I mean, I'm just speculating. I mean, the situation seems a little, yeah. So,
I mean, I've heard of some crazy stuff, but hitting people with a hammer is not something that I wanna jump on. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just saying, it just sounds more like a domestic violence situation than a break and enter. I mean, was anything stolen? Was anybody held for ransom? Because I don't know. It just seems this story right before the election. I don't know why. Maybe it was a Republican hit. I don't know. Maybe it was a Democrat, some type of, I don't know. But it just seems to me that right at the election, you getting stuff like this happening is really crazy to me. But we've seen crazier things. So
yeah,
I just crazy situation, man. I don't want to be caught in my undies, with somebody else in their undies getting hit over the head. That just seemed like a more of a domestic violence situation to me. So, and I don't support domestic violence. I'm against domestic violence. So, spousal abuse, all of that, side piece. Don't fight your side piece.
The show gone bad.
Show gone bad. Yes, but listen, the closing table. Again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Me and Daniel will be back here next Monday, same time, 6:45. Appreciate everybody that's been in the comments today. Looking forward to having more conversations with you all. Appreciate the perspectives. Other than that, next week we will have even better conversation and even better topics. So we're just growing and getting better. Oh, and thanks to everyone who subscribed. I think we up to 21 subscribers, and our last video got almost 500, 600 views now. So we're growing. We're growing.
I love it.
Awesome. Anyways, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the closing table. And to next week, I hope you have a great week, a great weekend, and be great. Talk to you later.
Get out there and vote.
And get out there and vote. Most definitely.
All right. Have a good one.